Now, post-COVID demand from China for milk powder and a resurgent appetite for milk fat products in several markets has lifted dairy prices to recent record levels. Global HQ's agri-journalist Hugh Stringleman outlines in this week's Farmers Weekly that the most recent global dairy trade index rose 4.8% in the second auction of January, and now has risen 17% over the past 3 months alone. We're now joined by Westpac senior agri-economist Nathan Penny on the phone. Thank you so much, Nathan. Now, this renewed demand, is it certainly just all coming out of the Chinese returning to restaurants?
I think for a start, I think the very recent uptick has been largely a milk fat and butter and cream story, and that does point to Chinese consumers sort of getting back to normal habits, which means eating out and buying things from the bakery where products have got a lot of cream and butter and the like in them. So that's a really good sign that things are getting quite close to normal back in China, given that they're largely COVID free and their economy is going great guns.
I have read, though, as we're heading into what's termed Chinese New Year, that there is still a lot of worry around eating out and the food security consciousness of the Chinese. Do you believe that that will have any effect?
Yeah, well, I think Chinese New Year always impacts demand. It ramps up as we approach Chinese New Year and then cools off while they go on holiday. In terms of food safety, food safety is very big in China, as it is in many markets, but particularly so there, and that's only heightened with COVID and some of the anecdotes of potentially COVID being on some goods or frozen products in particular. So that will only continue, and given New Zealand has COVID-free status, essentially, that has been good for New Zealand demand for products from China.
How much has it got to connected to China's economic performance overall? I mean, it's one of the only countries that's showing positive growth following an absolutely devastating year globally with COVID in 2020. Because, this is a record GDT since 2014.
Yeah, so China has really turned things around, and that's probably due to, first of all, their ability to control COVID and get on top of it very quickly, and that led to them being able to open up from lockdowns faster than other parts in the world, but also sort of really good policy coordination from Chinese authorities in terms of getting their economy back up and running. And as you said, after a 10% fall in one quarter, I think it was back in the March quarter, they ended up still growing over 2020 as a whole. And like you said, the only major economy to do so last year.
So therefore, Westpac have added a 50% to the forecasted seasonal farm gate milk price to $7.50. How confident are you that that will end up in the pockets of dairy farmers?
Yeah, look, we made that change last week, so lifted our forecast by 50 cents, as you say. The data is sort of staring us in the face now. Prices have lifted across the board, and that was the key thing we're looking for, to get confirmation that milk fat, or the more say premium products within dairy, were also joining the party, so to speak, as we've seen whole milk powder and other powders lift earlier. So it's really we've seen the lift. We think there's a little bit more to come. The momentum's good in the market. We're quite confident that we'll a number for farmers around that $7.50 for this season.
It's interesting you're quoted saying that you don't think that there'll be a clamour of dairy expansion due to this.
That's right, yes. So, unlike, if we go back 4, 5, 6 years ago when we had the record $8.40 milk price, we're seeing, dairy conversions of, a couple of hundred a year But now there's a few reasons why we don't think that will happen. First reason is competition for land. Other sectors are doing well too. So horticulture, for example, doing very well. A lot of conversions of land into kiwi fruit, for example. And the other thing is, the environmental limits and regulations around how intensively dairy farmers can farm. That's also sort of led to, perhaps more difficulties into converting farms. So we don't see, a lot of expansion in dairy over the next few years on that basis.
And of course, with farm values as well, where does that leave that? That'll be positive to push through a few more sales.
Yeah, we think this year might be a bit of a turning point on that front. The first thing we'll see is, and we have, I think people have been noticing around the regions a few more sales being confirmed. So we'll get a really clear view of where prices are just at the moment, with a few more sales on the board. And then, ultimately, as the income starts to flow this year, and we think into next season as well, we do see the prospect for dairy farm values stabilising early this year, and then later on starting to lift again.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. Nathan Penny, Senior Agri-Economist, economist, my apologies, for Westpac, joining us there, talking about the record GDT since 2014, and of course that new prediction out from Westpac of $7.50 a kilo of milk solids.